Hello Nara Nation, my name is Bruce Bustard and I'm a senior curator here at National Archives in Washington, D.C. I'm standing out in front of the entrance to the Lawrence F. O'Brien Gallery, and we're about to take a walking tour of our newest exhibition, Spirited Republic: Alcohol in American History. Spirited Republic: Alcohol in American History is about the love-hate relationship that Americans have with alcohol. It's an exhibit that deals with the changing attitudes of the American people about alcohol, and also looks at that through the records of the National Archives and our presidential libraries. We're standing here at the entrance of the exhibition, and when a visitor first comes into the gallery, he or she encounters what we've been calling our Tower of Jugs, and sees the question, how much did we drink? And this represents the amount of alcohol that was consumed by Americans at a particular time in our history. And so, for example, in 1830, we see that Americans consumed the astounding amount of about 7.1 gallons of alcohol per person per year. There are 4 sections in Spirited Republic, and I'm standing in front of the first section, which is entitled Good Creature of God. This section emphasizes some of the positive associations that Americans have had with alcohol and the role of the federal government in some of the early part of American history. This section also contains some beautiful patent drawings and label. For example, we have an 1864 lithograph that went on the end of a whiskey barrel. The second section of the exhibit is called Demonizing Drink, and that deals with the rise of the temperance and prohibition movement and some of the less positive associations that Americans have made with alcohol through our history. One of the most unique items that we have in the Demonizing Drink section is this 1843 petition that protests the spirit ration in the United States Navy. This petition is over 10 feet long and contains almost 400 signatures. The Sober Nation section of the exhibition deals with the Prohibition era in American history, how the government tried to enforce Prohibition. It also displays some credentials from Prohibition agents, displays the 18th Amendment to the United States, and it shows the different ways that people tried to get around Prohibition, as well as the growing movement to repeal the 18th Amendment. We have 4 audiovisual stations in the exhibition. This one deals with the Prohibition era, and it shows film of Prohibition agents raiding bars and smashing beer barrels and bottles. The audiovisual stations in Spirited Republic are motion activated, and they also contain sound domes, which more clearly focus the sound so that visitors can listen to the films.
By outlawing all alcoholic liquor.
So I'm going to walk in closer to the AV station, and you'll notice that the sound kicks in as I come close to it. The conditional acceptance section of the exhibition deals with more recent developments in the history of alcohol in our country, like how Prohibition ended and how businesses ramped up to meet the new demand for alcohol in post-Prohibition America. For example, we have a display of 30 alcohol labels from our records of the Patent and Trademark Office that are a variety of different beers, wines, and spirits. This part of the exhibition highlights documents and artifacts such as a prototype for what would become a breathalyzer, which is called a drunkometer. The federal government has used its public relations ability to warn about the dangers of alcohol whether that would be fetal alcohol syndrome or alcoholism. We also have public service announcements warning about the dangers of alcohol abuse and drunken driving.
But there's one shack you'll never see, and that's Shack the Drunk Driver. That's because I know drinking and driving don't mix. So if you drink, don't drive.
Just before we leave the gallery, we have a display of gifts and other artifacts that have been used by presidents in the more recent period. And we also have a video that emphasizes presidential toasts and the importance that toasting plays in diplomacy. We have several artifacts on display from our presidential libraries. For example, here's a cocktail set that was used by President Franklin Roosevelt when he was governor of New York during Prohibition, and also when he was president. We also have on display some gifts that presidents received. For example, a decanter that was given to President Reagan during his trip to Ireland, and also a cask with a Cossack writing on top of it that was given to President Clinton, and the glasses that were used by President Ford and Secretary General Brezhnev as they toasted the Helsinki agreements. Alcohol is, for better or for worse, something that has helped shape the course of American history and has been an important part of our political and social life. Thanks for coming along on this virtual tour of Spirited Republic. I hope you can come to Washington, D.C. and make it in person.